reason why buildings are burning is because this city, this state would prefer preserving that white nationalism and that white supremacist mindset over arresting, charging, and helping to convict 4 officers who killed a black man. That is the reality of what we're dealing with. This is not just a few cops doing things across the country. This is not a good cop versus bad cop situation. This is Ahmaud Arbery being shot down by white men on the streets of Georgia. Breonna Taylor being killed in her home. This is in New York City, where we were until freedom. We were just in New York fighting the police officers who, in the name of social distancing, were damn near killing black young people on our streets. This is a coordinated activity happening across this nation. And so we are in a state of emergency. Black people are dying in a state of emergency.
Hey, that was really, really powerful, man. And I'm so honored to have Tamika Mallory on this morning. That was from a speech in Minnesota press conference. And y'all welcome to the show, Tamika Mallory. Good morning.
Good morning, brother. Good morning.
Hey, Tamika, thank you so much for that speech. We all heard you. We all felt you. And I was like scrambling, like, how can we get her on the show? Thank you for those powerful words or whatever. Yeah, what kind of feedback have you received?
Well, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on this morning. I've been between being in the midst of protests and tear gas and rubber bullets and people calling saying the speech was so great, and I'm like, okay, thank God. I just told the truth. I've said what I've been saying, and I just think because we're in this heightened moment, a lot of people are listening, and people are looking for someone to articulate the collective feeling of Black America and the understanding of those people who are our allies. So I'm just glad that God used me as a vessel to be able to capture what it is that we're all going through in this moment.
Right. Now, Ms. Tamika Mallory, people are hurt and upset by the continuous killing of innocent black men and women, and we're looking for ways to change the system. What has to be done?
And there's a lot. I mean, first of all, people are in a fight for humanity. And I think that that's really important, that this is not just about one law, and it's not about having just 4 cops arrested and charged. This is about humanity. It's about the sanctity of Black life. But I do think that in the context of criminal justice reform, what we have to do, especially as we go towards the 2020 elections, is understand that these cases, as I said, are not single. They can't be looked at in silos. It has to be that the federal government takes into consideration the terror that Black people are dealing with police departments all over the country. And one particular point on that is that in New York, the chokehold is supposed to be illegal. And it took us 5 years to get Daniel Pantaleo fired for choking Eric Garner to death. But in Minneapolis, we found out that there was no real chokehold law. So across the country, we don't even have one standard that addresses the issues of civil rights abuse and police abuse, and that needs to be dealt with and taken up by the federal government.
Wow. The Minnesota governor has turned the George Floyd investigation over to Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison. Now, do you know if we can expect charges to come against the remaining 3 officers in the George Floyd case?
Well, and first of all, I just want to give a shout out to my brothers, Ben Crump and Attorney Lee Merritt. Both of them have been working really, really hard on this case in coordination with Sean King and so many across the country. We know very well Keith Ellison and his heart, and I hope that he does what he needs to do in this case. We can't be too sure because Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter. We've been let down in the past. But we have good reason to believe that Keith Ellison is going to do what is right here. We all saw on video what happened there should be no reason why all 4 officers are not charged and why there's not significant charges against them.
Yeah.
Right.
I have a question. Hey, Tamika, this is your girl, Eva.
Hi,
I want to
Eva.
know, hey, girl, I want to know, how do you see us handling this divide? So we have a scenario where we have young kids, radicals that are ready to go out, but then you have the older generation that has seen this before and might have different opinions. What do we do to unite the different generations for this united cause?
You know, I think this is not a new issue, right? We've been dealing with the same since, if you look back in history, Dr. King, who actually was pretty young. When we think about Dr. King, we speak of him as if he was a much older man, but he really was only 39 years old when he died. However, at the same time, you had SNCC, which had a lot of younger people in their organization, and then you had the Black Panthers, which had different age groups, mainly young people. And so we've always had the different dynamics of the younger and the older trying to figure out how the two can come together. I think both energies are necessary. The older folks have wisdom. The younger folks have energy. They also are definitely less fearful than some of us. I mean, here I am. I'm going to be 40 years old in 7 days, and I can tell you that the young people that I work with, they are much more aggressive than I am, and that's necessary. That energy is necessary. I don't know if we're ever going to be able to bring everyone under one umbrella in terms of, you know, everybody being on the same page. I think we always are going to have different levels of energy, but as long as we have respect for one another, as long as we understand that everyone has a role in this movement, I think that we will be able to accomplish our goals. This is a moment in history that we haven't seen, at least in a long time, and definitely not in my life. And I think that this particular moment is pregnant with the possibility of us making a change.
Right. Wow. How do you talk to Tariq, your son, about what's going on?
Listen, he's like Eva said, I don't know from day to day about that boy. He's 21 years old. You never know what's going to happen. I try to talk to him all the time, but I'm sure he's out. He has been out there protesting in his own ways, and all I can do is try to guide him and try to protect him and hope that he looks at me as an example. But these kids, they do things their own way, Rickey, Smiley, so who knows?
Right. Go ahead, Kay. You're about to ask something.
Yeah, Comedian Special K. I have a question for you, Tamika. When you look at the clips from the Watts riots on through the Rodney King riots on through what's going on for the last decade with all these police interactions with the public, groups like yours and organizations that are trying to unite us on this level, how do you speak truth to the power that has the idea that there is no such thing as systemic racism in the police departments? That's the official stance of the White House as of this morning. So how do we get the message through to power that that's not the case? And that's obviously not the case because we've been dealing with the same thing for over 50 years.
I think you get it through to our government and to the world by ensuring that people register and vote in November, and make sure that we put pressure on the next president of the United States to understand what's happening today, where people are on the streets still in this moment. I'm watching the news and there's still people out protesting. That is setting the tone for what's really happening in America. Anyone who wants to ignore it, when they look at their TV and they look outside their doors, they know that what they're doing is covering for an agenda where, in fact, if you want to keep it 100, the issue is that the systemic racism is coming from the same White House that is trying to cover what's happening with police departments across this country. But folks are out there shutting it down. They know it and they see it. And I think from our position, what we need to be doing is registering our people and ensuring that we show up at the polls to take care of business in the November election.
Yes.
Exactly.
Hey, Tamika, thank you so much for coming on this morning. I wish anytime you want to call, I'm probably going to call you almost every day for the next few weeks or whatever, and you can come on anytime to talk about anything, because that was so powerful and so awesome at that press conference, and you just put it gave me chills, and I really appreciate you, and thank you for doing everything that you do in the community. Let everybody know how you can be reached.
Well, you folks can go to Until Freedom. My organization is called Until Freedom. We're online. Check us out there and support us. Thank y'all for having me on, and thank you, Rickey. Love you guys.